Welcome to Common Unity. I'm Jason Fox.
And I'm Dr. Gabriel Lewis. And we are bringing the community together with a common unity. There we go. Is that better? Yeah, who knows?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, sounds good.
There we go.
So, Common Unity, welcome back, episode 29. And today we've got a very special guest. He's one of the pests that races around the nation with me. So you've had James Wallace on here quite some time ago. And on that trip, this gentleman brought his nice new car with pre-delivery Ks on it, still breaking it in along on the journey. And he was able to stay there most of the time. I have been to Auckland with him since and been overtaken by a Volkswagen Beetle, was it? It was concerning because we were in a 110 zone and the little Volkswagen went rolling past us. And I thought, why have you got this nice car when these Volkswagens pass by? But anyway, welcome to Common Unity, George Kruger.
Thank you, Jason.
He promoting safe driving, that's why.
Actually, like I tell my drivers in the truck, it's all about fuel savings. So you got to just take it easy out there sometimes.
So obviously no sports mode.
Oh, it happens, just in case.
I must be a terrible passenger because he pulled over at Mercer and goes, you fucking drive. I was like, yeah, I'll drive your car. Sweet, let's go. And we got there in no time. Well, the sun was still up anyway.
Depending on who you ask, though. Technically, we still missed our event we went up there for, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, such a good night. that was my other time I wasn't drinking and I had to break it because of the shenanigans that were happening in front of us. But anyway, for the listeners, I'm not drinking at the moment, 10 days. So yeah, I'm the only one sitting here with a zero. So I'll behave the rest of these two.
Red wine's good for you, so
yeah, it is.
Be keeping casual.
Helps with the digestion.
It does.
Helps you get down that steak.
I'll just have a tiger, Sometimes I feel like Rocky Balboa, eye of a tiger.
Oh, he's got jokes. This is a good start. So George,
I'll have a note off then.
Yeah. So George, I can tell by your funny accent that you're not from around these parts. Where'd you come from, mate?
South Africa.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous place. There used to be this memes where Simba and his dad Mufasa was sitting staring into the sunset, and Simba would ask his dad, Dad, what's that light over there? And then his dad's like, that's South Africa, son. Never go there.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in New Zealand for?
So just over 5 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically five
So
and a
not
half.
long.
Yeah, still fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
He's got his residency.
Yep, residence and another 2.5 to go, and I'll get my citizenship. So then I'll be a full-blown Kiwi.
Yeah, and we can't do anything about it either. I've tried contesting it, but his brother's a fucking lawyer, so...
Mate, did you see this answer, man? How can immigration say no to this?
The accent?
Very humble. Very humble. Yeah. So South Africa, I've heard some stories. I'm looking forward to getting into this, and I'm sure Gabs will enjoy them too. So tell us about your childhood growing up there, mate.
Yeah, so basically I grew up on a farm. Granddad's had farms and Dad just worked with him and eventually bought the farms over, and grew up as a farm boy. The only thing I ever wanted to do was be a farmer, never really thought I'd do anything else. Dad and Granddad had a couple of trucks and all of that, so that's really where my passion started for big machinery and transport and all of that. Yeah, so Dad sold the farms when I was 14, moved to the city, which was a bit of an adjustment because, on the farm you got all this, how can I say it, freedom.
Yeah, sure.
And I literally started driving at the age of 7, sat on my dad's lap and started driving. And at 8, I was just driving whatever I want on the farm and going wherever I wanted to. And obviously when you move to a city, you can't do it anymore because now you suddenly have to obey to the rules. Other road users, and I think I still drive better than 90% of them. Jason might not agree, but we won't go there.
I'm sure you're fine on the truck.
Yeah. Professional at all times.
Yeah.
So bit of my school background. I never liked it, I'll be honest. School wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It's just something about it, no disrespect to people who were real great achievers in school, but that just wasn't me. I always was the one where I'd listen for 5 minutes and get the important stuff that I needed to pass, and I'll stare out the window. And I remember my teacher telling me, staring out the window is not going to earn you money one day. And boy, was she wrong.
That's what I do all day.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So, yeah, and then after school, I started doing like door-to-door sales. First thing I started doing was selling Kirby vacuums, vacuum cleaners.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys have that over here, but
Yeah, I think Godfrey sell them, don't they? I think
Are they the ones with the ice?
nah.
Or is that a different
that's
brand?
Herbie. That's a Volkswagen.
Yeah, no,
That's when they overtook us.
it was just like a real expensive vacuum cleaner, which people made you believe it can.
Do anything.
Yeah, it can even fly and take you to space if you looked at it for long enough. Well, that's in any case how I sold all mine, but we won't go there.
It's like a broomstick
Yeah.
for witches.
And then after that, I was only with that company for 3 months and didn't really enjoy it that much. I enjoyed like the interacting with people and all of that, but moved on to a new venture. So I started like door-to-door sales, where you'd walk in the street. When South Africa, that's pretty dangerous to do because everybody basically gets home after 5. So you need to be out there, say at 6, start knocking on gates, hope their pit bulls or Rottweilers don't chase you down the road or eat you for that matter, or you get shot. That can also happen.
We get shot going to the bathroom over there. So
Yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about that too much. So South Africa is a real beautiful country, but unfortunately, it's just gone to downhill. It's just on the descent all the time, and they've even got, like my mom told me when we spoke this morning, some days they don't even have power for 16 hours a day. You know what I mean?
So they're rolling blackouts
Yeah,
as well.
and then obviously if you don't have power, the water pumps don't work, so there's not enough water to supply the towns, and it's just real crazy what's going on at the moment. But getting back to my career part of it, after doing the door-to-door sales, I went and worked for a mate. They had like an earth moving company, and they also refurbished like vehicles, army vehicles, military vehicles, where they had a contract with the military and they'll like refurbish all their stuff and give it back to them. And even with earth moving stuff, they'll buy like blown up and broken stuff, fix it and sell it on auctions. So yeah, I was into sales a bit, but that was not really what I wanted to do. I always dreamt of having my own transport company, and a farm would have been nice, but living in South Africa at that point in time still, it's just not safe with all the farm murderers and senseless farm murderers going on there.
Is that one of the reasons why your father decided to sell out?
Yeah, it was, because we got a lot of threats, like over a period of time, but also it's just the people we had a contract with, they just demanded more things, but they didn't really want to adjust the rates and everything that we got for, because we had 2 big farms, so one cattle one and then one where we sowed and had chickens. So we raised about 300,000 chickens every 33 days.
Wow.
Yeah, so they'll come in
good
33
size, yeah.
days and
It's huge.
they'll just go to the slaughterhouse or abattoir, whatever the fancy word is you guys call it.
Yeah.
And farm murders are just real bad at the moment. Well, it was actually been going on for years, but I'd say since
At a peak.
early 2000s it started getting real bad.
So what are the threats? Like, do they come to your property and threaten you, or is it like a...
Well, for some people that's more like the Zimbabwe side of it, but more into Africa, not South Africa. So what happened in South Africa is, because of what happened according to them ages ago, they believe that the land is theirs, they are entitled to it, but they have no legal rights to have the land. So now they just come and say you own a farm. They'll literally just wait for you there to get home and kill you for no reason.
And then
Because they don't get the land. If you're dead, they still don't get it.
they don't try and occupy it after they killed you or anything?
Nothing. just kill you. And
Just if you can't have it.
Yeah.
If I can't have it, you can't either.
yeah, and they just go on with their lives, Yeah, so that's real bad. In the farming community, those things that's happening. And if you think about it, no farmers, no food, right? They are one of the biggest.
I've heard the same with the transport companies and stuff. They're driving along and they get stopped on the side of the road, all the tyres stolen off, like they just ransack a vehicle on the side of the road, don't they?
Or they'll just get hijacked if they got high value cargo on them, like field trucks and all of that. They are, oh man.
Just like Fast and the Furious, basically.
Yeah,
They just come in, do they?
Basically, they just don't have fast and furious cars. Yeah.
Throw a hay bale at you instead of a gun. Yeah.
Or they'll just carry like anything they can, rocks and stuff, put it in the road so the trucks can't get past, and as soon as the driver stops, then that's him.
Yeah.
Or even like fake police. So we'll get to that story where I got hijacked by fake police. So that's also a big thing over there, People, well, it's actually not fake police. It is police working with these syndicates. So because they just don't earn enough money.
Yeah.
Doing their normal job. So they work with these syndicates and they just get their cut out of it. And believe it or not, they use state vehicles to do it.
So why is the wealth divide so large? Is it just the inflation? Just like what's happening around the globe everywhere? It just
over in South Africa.
Yeah, money's been inflating for so long that the wealth divide's just gone, either have everything or we have nothing. Yeah,
well, it's a bit of that, but also a lot of, if you go to South Africa, you really need to go there to understand what's happening. Like,
you're not selling it to me, eh?
No, but I mean, I got to be honest.
Yeah.
So a lot of people they would just sit at home all day. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to contribute anything to society, but they believe that, look, we are entitled to this, and that's their main goal every day, is just to go stand and dance in the street or
sounds like a Labour supporter.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got our share of that. Right, what's been happening in the Red Square right outside the office just now? Yeah.
So that's the sad part of it, And if you actually speak to a lot of people from different races and everything, you get good and bad ones out of each race,
of course.
And the ones that actually try and wake up and make something of their lives, they are like, well, you got to get up, you got to work hard. And if you want the farm, you need to buy the farm, because they understand that back in the day, there was wars and everything that was fought over it, or deals were made like trades and this and that. And that's how people got into the farms and businesses and everything that they got into, right? So, yeah, in a nutshell, I'd say South Africa is a country I'd say everybody needs to experience once in their life, just for a holiday or something. But
if they went to for a holiday, would they just be getting the tourism spot and not getting the real South Africa though?
Yeah, well, it depends on who you go with. If you go with
somebody who knows,
then I guess they can show you around. But it's real dangerous. Yeah. You really just want to go to the hot spots, like Cape Town. And if you go to the Kruger National Park and Sun City and all those places, hopefully they give me vouchers for promoting them. But in any case, those are the real nice places. And
is there any place that you even now would never go?
Yep. Into Johannesburg CBD.
Yeah.
That's just almost like The Purge. I don't know if you watched that movie ever, but nobody follows any rules and basically everything goes there. I would say the police are even too scared to go in there. That's how bad it is.
Yeah. And are there still quite a few businesses operating in there, or is it
it's
running rough?
Definitely there is, but it's just it's a place that I wouldn't recommend to go to.
Okay.
Not at all.
Noted.
Don't worry, Jason, I'll take you there.
Yeah. He's been threatening to take me to South Africa for probably 12, 18 months now. This other South African we know, Jeffrey's like, Jason, you're going to die. You're going to die there. You're so dead. Lovely. Thanks.
He's like,
Yeah. No, so then after working for my friend with the earth moving company and all of that, I had a real good friend that he was like a very, very successful businessman. So over there we got our main like food suppliers, like grocery stores and stuff. It's called Pick and Pay Spar and Checkers and Woolworths, which they got in Aussie. But he owned a couple of spas, so supermarkets and stuff, and we just got on real well. And he just asked me to one day, because when Dad sold the farms and we moved to the city, he went into property investment like real estate and all of that, but just wrong place, I'd say, where he put all this money into. So long story short, I didn't go to university or anything, so I just had to basically fend for myself since I left school. And this guy asked me one day, actually, what do you want to do? Do you want to go study something? Or because I just helped him with whatever jobs he had to do. And I was like, yeah, I would like to go into like welding, become a welder and then work my way up to become a welding engineer and all of that. And so he said, okay, well, I'll borrow you the money. You can go study and then just pay me back once you start working. And I was like, oh, yep, all good. So I went that route, went and studied as a welding inspector, started doing that after I qualified as a welder first, obviously, and then went on to becoming a welding inspector, doing that, and just proceeded further in my career, became a welding specialist, and worked on multiple power stations, oil and gas refineries, and basically seen the world and got paid for it, to be honest.
And by that stage, you'd be earning pretty good money even for South Africa. Like you could live comfortably.
No, that I really earned good money, and you didn't really have any expenses because if they fly you to somewhere to go do an inspections, they pay for all of it. Even if you go on shutdowns, they pay for the accommodation, they pay for your meals, they pay for everything. So basically, at that point, I was 21.
Oh wow!
Wow!
So basically living the dream, seeing the whole country and even more.
So we covered a bit of time there. So did you leave school, 15 or?
No, 18.
18?
Yep.
Okay, so all that happened over 3 years.
I done my prison sentence.
So you So you sort of did that within 2 years, really, by the time you sold your Kirby vacuums and different stuff.
Yeah. So it's more like, what I studied, it's more like a practical thing than just going to university, study for 5 years and
trade.
I love welding. I've always wanted to weld, and my wife wanted this reception desk, and it was highly expensive. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy a welder and teach myself how to weld.
Oh, yep.
And it's seriously, I thoroughly, it's a skill set I've always wanted to learn, but never had the opportunity to, and it's like really cool.
Yeah, no,
I really enjoy it. It's thoroughly relaxing, a bit nerve-wracking, not nerve-wracking, but until you start realizing you're not actually going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Electrocuted.
You feel like you're going to get electrocuted or you're going to burn yourself, or once you realize you're actually fine.
Oh, the burns happen.
Yeah, the burns happen, but then when they're happening, it doesn't actually bother you anymore either. It's just getting used to like them going down your socks or down the back of your shirt, and
until your shoe catches fire, and
that's a different story.
Just wear your PPE, guys.
Yeah, I do.
He's wearing them now.
Yeah,
Some on safety boots.
But it's really cool. So I can understand why you enjoyed it.
It's really, if you can do it, it's really something nice to have behind your name.
It's a huge skill set.
Yeah, and always, something you can fall back onto if you ever need to in life. So,
did you ever do any welding for personal, like just for things that you're passionate about, like making a table like he's done? Or?
Not really.
Yeah,
it was more just like a money making thing,
Yeah.
Going out there and becoming the best at that point is what I could be in that specific thing, and then I went on further and went into the metallurgy behind it, and designing welds, and like basically if they build a truck, I can go and design the welds for it. I can go and qualify the welder who needs to do it. I can give them the welding process that needs to be used and all of that. So it's quite nice knowing that part of it as well. But I would say you need to be a welder first to understand all of that.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, you do. Yeah. You do, because it's even just changing a dial just ever so slightly makes the hugest difference.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Huge.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I'm
I'm lucky I've got really cool welding mentor, Simon from Max Fab, and he's just this is the welder you should get, Gab. So I just buy what he says, and then when I've told other welders, they're like, oh yeah, it's the best value for money welder that I've come across.
Or have you got a MIG?
Yeah, MIG, and he was like. Other fabricators have been like, yeah, I've got a big $5,000 one, and I use that $1,500 one more. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and it's so good. You can do some really cool things on it, but it's really cool just learning the skill set,
playing around.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
Learning what metal does, what it doesn't do. Does it bend? Did you have too much heat? It's cool.
Yeah, no, definitely is.
It's a real art.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you get into tigging and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's also like a real big responsibility, if you say building a gas refinery or something, you're building a raw gas line, and the fabrication and, everything, the whole process that goes in there, because you use different materials and all of that, and, different sizes and different wall thicknesses, and the non-destructive testing that goes into it, which you got 100%, depending on the thickness of the material, you need to do x-rays on your weld.
Well, so it's got to have proper penetration with everything. Yep. And you see some things online, and I've been even on these welding pages on Facebook. I geek out a little bit on certain things, but they're talking about, it's a pretty weld, but you've got no penetration whatsoever.
It's just tacked on.
It's just like tacking. It's like, well, that's going to fail. So, you don't think about that kind of stuff with the metal movement, and especially when it's big industrial stuff that you need it to last the test of time.
Yep. And then if you obviously go a bit higher in the ranks, and you're the one signing those welds off, you basically tie yourself legally to that. If anything happens and you miss something and somebody dies, you're going to be the first one on the line of fire.
Well, it's like one of those things, like if you're signing your name to it, you're like, I'm not just trying to be a dick that you have to do this weld again. Like, you've got to do the weld again. It's that simple. Just do it properly. If I didn't pull you up on it, it means you weren't meticulous enough. Do it properly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've got this thing. My twin and I are so good at adjusters for chiropractic, because we're really able to take constructive criticism at the early stages, whereas a lot of people aren't very good at taking that kind of criticism, saying they take it personally rather than going, actually, this person's actually trying to make me better. Even if, like, for an instructor, they'll be like, inspector, they'll be like, he's just making my job hard. No, they're making you better when you really think about it.
Yeah, so see, I've had those situations a lot where you'd speak to the welder or the supervisor, and they'll get like real, like, what do you know? We've been doing this for so many years. And I'm like, because I was a welder myself, I'll be like, come, I'll show you. Give me your equipment. And you do what you just told them or advised them to do. And then they realize, but hang on, this guy can actually do the job as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't just know
on a book.
On a book. So you get more respect for doing that.
And plus, a lot of people just think like you're just learning from textbook too.
Yeah.
But when you can actually lay down the law, you're like, hey, this is why. And then you show them. And people often don't know what they don't know. So if they've learned it a particular way, they'll just think that that's the way to do it and that's gold standard. But you've always got to keep evolving. So it's cool that you could be like, boom, laid it down.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's true though. It's so cool. Nothing beats being able to kind of I'm actually speaking from experience. This is how, this is why. And then they'll be like, okay, you can't really argue with it.
No, definitely. And speaking of which, the welding inspections. So we had a big project we did in Vanderbijl Park, which was where our workshop was based. So we did like workshop fabrications. So most of the welds and everything was made up in the workshop, and it got sent to site, and you'll just have a couple of welds to do on site. So working late hours, long hours, and on my way home from work one night, I got onto the state highway, and let's go 5 minutes back. So leaving the workshop, I had a Golf 6R, which was souped up, about 390 kilowatts on the wheels, all-wheel drive, so it was a little pocket rocket. And driving towards the highway, I got an A45 AMG, and I was like, yes, this is getting interesting. So parked up next to him, because in South Africa, that's what you do. If you got a fast car and you see another one, if you don't race from the one traffic light to the other one, then you should sell your car. So me and him sized each other up, and we went, and he got a hiding. And as I got onto the highway, I saw this blue lights coming from behind, and I was like, great. They saw me street racing, so I'm getting a fine. So got onto the highway, and this lights keeps following me, and because it's dark at night, and South Africa, there's this thing where they said if you don't feel comfortable, just slow down, switch your hazards on, and like wave them down and show them you'll go, when they get next to you, tell them you'll go to the nearest police station. So slowed down, hazards on. The guy came up next to me, and I was like, well, follow me to the nearest police station and we can stop there. And he got like real aggravated. No, pull over. And I was like, nah, not doing this. So slapped the car into sport and send it. So I was doing it about, shouldn't be saying this out loud, but say.
Oh, you're not, it's not in this country.
Yeah,
so
it was in Mexico, so it's all right.
Close to 300 kilometers an hour, and I just couldn't shake this car, which was impossible because that Golf of mine was not standard.
Yeah, and plus the police cars can't go that speed.
And then I realized it was what they call over there the ghost squad. So it's unmarked vehicles, and they just got the blue lights on the dash, but they got cameras. And I was like, oh, this is going to court now because,
Because you've run.
Yeah. And stopped, and the guy got out fully dressed as a policeman. So we got traffic officers over there, and then you get your normal police. So dressed in his traffic officer uniform, everything had his name on there, badges, the whole story that you need to do. So he came to the window, and he's like, can he have my license? I gave him my license. He had to walk around the car. So I had personalized plates, which was actually a G-Spot GP, because there you get every province behind it. So the GP stands for Gauteng province. And but they weren't pop riveted onto the bumper, just like with a Velcro. And he pulled them off, and I was like, another thing I've done wrong here, because it's not wrong, but they should actually be legally bolted be pop riveted or bolted onto the bumper. And he came around to the window again, and he's like, he's gonna search the car, but he actually needed a warrant for that. But I mean, I've got nothing to hide, so any case, now all good, do what you need to do. And he said, no, but I need to come open the trunk or the boot, whatever you guys call it over here, for him. So I said, no, open it, got nothing to hide, And he was adamant, no, you need to come and open it. So then I thought, something's up. So I got out of the car, walked to the back, and I was like, well, I'm standing next to you, open it. And he's like, no, you open it. So when I opened it, 3 guys jumped out, one with an AK and 2 with handguns, and then the one knocked me behind my head. So I was lying now on the ground here next to in between their car and my car. They tied my hands behind my back. So then they told me to stand up. So I mean, like, seriously, I got to stand up with no hands. I was like, well, I can't stand up, so you need to pull me up. So they pulled me up, and then 2 of them jumped into my car. Actually, no, 3 of them jumped into my car, and he threw me on the back seat of their car, but they also had another car behind them. So basically they had 2 cars.
2 cars.
Yeah.
So were they police officers or not?
Well, he had police uniform on.
Yeah.
And I was lying on the back seat of their car, and they held me like hostage for 3 hours. So because in South Africa, if your car is worth more than a certain amount, you need like a tracking device in it for insurance purposes. And he was asking me, what tracking devices do I have and all of that. So as we're driving, he started to I wasn't too stressed in the sense where I was screaming or yelling or anything. I was just lying there, but obviously tensed. And he said, well, look, he's not acting or faking to be a police officer. He is one. And he just doesn't make enough money doing what he does as a normal job. So this is what he does for his extra money, and all the police radios and everything in the car, and you can hear them going off, and all of that. And he said it's nothing personal, but if you try something stupid, I'll shoot you. So where I was lying with my head, I still remember because I was lying on top of a jacket, but underneath the jacket there was a pistol. So my head was basically lying on a pistol. And we're driving now, and he put his gun like on next to the passenger seat, like in between the passenger seat and where your center console is. And he told me again, if you do something stupid, I'll shoot you. And he also said, you might think we're close to the scene, but we're traveling at about 300 kilometers an hour. So we are this far away from where we took your car. And before the sun comes up, the car will have a new VIN number, a new engine number, everything, and it'll be on the Mozambican border. So he's telling me all these things now, which really, when you're in that position, you don't really care what they do with the car. You just want to get out, you know. Yeah. And he said also, he was still talking, and he asked me, am I married or do I have kids or anything? So at that point in time, I was just engaged. But I acted as if I had a baby on the way, because I thought, well, look, this might help him feel something, because you don't know, are you going to live, are you going to die? You don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And I said, no, I got a baby on the way. And the first thing he said to me is, oh, no, don't worry. Your fiance's or your uncle can take your fiance to the doctors or whatever. And so what's the first thing that's going to go through your head when someone tells you that? Well, I'm getting shot. Yeah. So I lied there, and I was like, oh man, it's like literally your whole life flashes in front of you. And I'm a Christian, so I prayed, and I'm like, look, if it's my time and this is how it's going to be, then please, I just want to go to heaven. Now I'm laughing, but it's also that kind of brings back that night what happened. Yeah, so I was lying there, and he's like, okay, I'm going to pull over now and tell the car behind me that they need to follow your car, because if he lets me go, they will shoot me. So I was like, oh, good. So I'm lying there, he turned the music on loud. They were speaking in Zulu, which is their language, or well, that syndicate, I'd say, is language they were using. And I understand some of the words they used and stuff, but I couldn't hear because the music was so loud, but you can just pick up a word here and there. And then I heard that car speeding off. So he got back into the car, and he's like, where do I live? And I was like, well, I live in Boksburg, Bedford View area. So that's just actually next to Boksburg. And he's like, oh, okay, no, he'll go drop me off somewhere close to it. Do I have my phone with me or anything? And I thought I had my phone, but I left it in the car. And I thought I had my wallet, but I left it in the car as well. So I said, no, I got my wallet with me. Obviously, I couldn't feel because my hands were tied behind my back. And we still kept on driving and stuff. And I just tried to get out of the situation. So I was like, look, you don't have to take me all the way there. Just drop me off here. I'll find out somehow. And he's like, are you disrespecting me? I told you I'll take you to a certain point. And I was like, no, I'm not disrespecting you. Play the game. So at this point in time, I just lied on the back seat, and he said, oh, I'm going to
Your head was still on the gun?
What's that?
Your head was still on the
gun? Yeah, still
gun?
on the gun. So now at this point in time, how I was lying, my hands came loose. Like, I managed to get them out of the cable tie, but I didn't try. Just came out. Now I'm thinking, do I reach for the gun and shoot? Or then, once again, two situations. Now you actually shot the police or traffic officer. They're not going to believe me.
Yeah.
So what do I do? And I was like, nah. Or maybe you try and fire the gun and doesn't shoot, and then he's going to make mincemeat out of me, with that automatic rifle he's got sitting there next to him. So still lying there, and he said, I'm going to give you your license back now. So he slid it into my pants.
Meanwhile, you still had your hands behind
Yeah, I still held my hands like that because I didn't want him to know that my hands are loose.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably drove for, I'd say, another hour and a half since the other car left us. And he said, also, if I didn't stop, they were just going to shoot me. like kill me, take the car, and just tell my family I ran away from the police, like I didn't want to stop, and they allowed to do that over there. So he said also, if somebody tried to interfere with what was happening when they hijacked me, the car behind us that was still following us at that stage, there were 5 people in there with automatic rifles. So that's like their backup if anything
It would
goes
have been
down.
his kind of thing if he didn't kind of action anything as well. They would have gone against him too. So he would have been in this
and a
tight
big
predicament.
Yeah. And we drove for probably another hour and a half, I'd say. So now obviously I can't see anything apart from the lights flashing by. And he's like, okay, we're here where I'm going to drop you off. And I felt we went off the tar seal onto a metal road. And I was like, oh, here we go. When you watch horror movies, because he drove in and then he backed up and he turned again and he backed up. And I'm like, well, probably going to open the door, shoot me in there, and I'm going to fall into a hole or something.
I bet you still remember like the feeling, the direction and everything.
I can still feel it.
The other question I was going to ask, so is there any point that in that time when you were traveling for an hour and a half, did you ever kind of like go in and out of it, or were you just completely 100% present the whole time?
No, I did go, like after I prayed, it's just like, I felt this
like kind of
relaxing wave over me, and I just said, well, it is what it is now.
I'm here now.
Yeah,
like,
what happens
is
going to happen.
Yep.
And we got to a point, almost where I fell asleep, I'd say, and that's when he started going off the road and doing his little maneuvers there on the metal road. And I was just like, yep, no, this is me. And he opened the door. So I didn't open my eyes, because normally if you look at them, you make eye contact, they'll shoot you because you know their face. And he grabbed me, pulled me out of the car, and he's like, run, go get help. Don't look at the car, don't look at the car. Like I can hear him scream that still. Like until today, you can hear that voice.
Did you end up grabbing the gun at that point?
No.
You never grabbed it?
I just ran, even with my hands behind my back, not even tied to the cable tie anymore. But as I was running, you could hear him trying to fire his gun, but it didn't shoot. So there was an old abandoned building, and I jumped through the window, and you just heard him like speeding off. So
he was trying to shoot you?
Yeah. While I was running away. Obviously, he didn't want to shoot me in the car because it would have been messy.
Crime scene.
Yeah, and messy, So jumped into the abandoned building, heard him speed off, and then I was in this real, like, bad rural area, like real bad, where people would almost say eat each other just to have food. But it was on a farm, luckily, the section I was, like a veggie farm, veggie plantation. So I ran to the nearest lights I could see, which was a house. Old lady lived there, and I assume her son or whatever, husband maybe. And she had a little chihuahua, so my mouth was bleeding. Well, I don't even know why my mouth was bleeding and my arm was bleeding. And this chihuahua just attacked me. And I was like, come on, man.
I've just been kidnapped.
Yeah, this chihuahua wanted to eat me. And I was like, seriously. So then the lady asked me, obviously, what happened. And she was a bit rattled too because of all the farm murders and stuff, And I phoned my uncle to come and get me. But I wanted to phone him, but I couldn't get a hold of him. So they wanted to take me to my fiance's place, and I was like,
was it anywhere near your place?
It was about 30 to 35 kilometers away. Yeah. So
but you never got to the job then?
No. So I eventually, like, when they wanted to take me home, so remember, this was at night.
Yeah.
So I left work. Yeah. So I just remember telling them, nah, I'm not getting in the car with anybody unless, because my uncle is like one of these people that protects like real high valued people and presidents and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to come get me because I knew if anything was going to happen, he was going to take care of business. But you just got this mindset, now you get in a car again and whatever happens just down the road, because that place was also renowned for hijackings and stuff. So eventually, after I'd say an hour, I calmed down and I said, look, I'm really tired, so just please take me home if you don't mind. So they took me home, I tried making contact with my fiance, but I couldn't get a hold of her for some reason. So I tried phoning my mom as well. She didn't pick up, but eventually my mom phoned back when those people had me in the car. But the lady spoke to my mom and told her what happened. And so you can imagine my mom's in a state and the whole family now, because my mom's phoned this one, and you know how it goes. So eventually got back to my fiance, and my mom phoned her because obviously she couldn't get a hold of us again. And my mom told her what happened, and she was just glad to see I'm still alive. And yeah, that was so then for insurance purposes, I had to go that night because she was on the phone with the insurance just saying, hey, the car's been hijacked and you need to report it in South Africa like instantly, or else they'll think like
you're involved.
Yeah, you're involved, or you couldn't make the payments on your car. And I'll get to that part now as well, but it's like you're still going through all this trauma. And the insurance lady spoke to me and she's like, look, you need to go to the police station now and give your affidavit and do all of that.
I've just been hijacked by a policeman.
And now I'm fighting to go to the police station because exactly, I told her, they just hijacked me. Now, why on earth would you send me back there to go and give an affidavit? Yeah. So my father-in-law, that point in time, he said, look, I'll take you there. So, and I still fought against it because they had to drive about 80 kilometers to get to where we live. So eventually this was now midnight, went down to the police station, told them what happened, and the police officer laughed at me as if he didn't believe my story. So now you can imagine I wanted to do very nasty
I bet you they weren't even
him.
write down the story correctly.
Yeah, he just like real casual, and I was like, well, he has my license. He didn't have any gloves or anything on. Take fingerprints. Oh, no, we're not going to get fingerprints of that, he said. So, obviously something is
Probably
going on.
knows who it is, eh?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, that'll be Sam. He's off doing it again.
Yeah. So
it's his night tonight.
At that point in time, me and my fiance decided, look, we didn't have kids, like I said, or any kids on the way at that stage. We were thinking of coming to New Zealand, but it wasn't like a
sure thing.
Yeah, like
it was like toying with the idea.
Yeah. Just like thinking about it still.
Was your brother here by that stage?
Yep. So they moved over here, if I remember correctly, 2007, 2008. Yeah, so this happened in 2015.
So it would have sped up the thought process.
Yeah. So, well, actually not, to be honest. Because then, as time goes by, you just kind of learn to live with it. And it probably won't happen to me again. And, well, a couple years down the road, Zayden was born in 2016, my 7-year-old today. So I had a good job, and, Chantal had a good job, and everything was just going for us again in that country. So we decided, look, we'll give it another go. So 2017, August. So at this point in time, I had a Golf 7R, which I don't know why I bought a Golf again, but I just love the brand. But in any case, it's not a safe car over there. So
targeted.
Yeah, me and my one friend went to was on a Thursday night, if I remember correctly. They have like these cash night drag racing that they do. So it's on a drag strip off the road. And then people just almost like street outlaws. I don't know if you watched it before.
Of course I
but just not in the street. So it's on a drag strip.
Yeah.
So we went to that, done that, and on our way home, as we drove, we were probably about 20 Ks away from home. So I think in South Africa, what they like to do is when you drive on the highways and there's like bridges crossing over the road, they like to stand on top and like throw rocks and stuff down at the cars and hope they kill you so they can take your car, whatever possessions you got in the car.
That happened in Auckland a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Brick.
But that sounds a bit unreal for New Zealand, but hopefully they don't do it again.
It was kids, it was kids, it wasn't.
Kids being silly.
Yeah. And this guy actually threw a concrete sleeper, these little concrete curb sleepers, off the bridge. And I managed to miss that. And then there was another guy coming from the side and threw a road sign through the window. And that stopped like literally millimeters away from my friend's face. But as soon as the road sign came through, because it was more to his side, his head just dropped, like as if he got decapitated. Yep. And I couldn't see because I had all this glass shattered in my eyes, and I'm hitting him on the leg and there's no response. So I just decided I'm not stopping. Even if I crash this car to bits, I'm not stopping. I'm driving. So eventually he passed out, I think, from the shock or whatever. Yeah. And eventually he came to it and I was like, you okay? And he was full of blood and all of that, parts of his face because of the tiny pieces of glass and stuff. And so we stopped at a police station, closed it down, and as we stopped there, another guy with a Porsche stopped behind us. Same thing happened to him right behind us, and another fellow with a BMW. So this was obviously a hot spot for the night,
A lot of ammo, eh?
Yeah. But luckily nobody got hijacked that night. And then the next morning, I just phoned my fiance and I said, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
We're applying for our visas and we're coming to New Zealand. And she was like, she's like real close with her family. So I was like, look, I'm not going to force you, but take the day or the week, how long ever you want, but just get back to me and I think we should do this. There's no future for our kids here. At that point, we only had one. So we need to make the move. And she rang me back in about an hour after we spoke. She said, no, let's go. So we got the wheels in motion, spoke to my brother, and in Feb 2018, we arrived in New Zealand.
Yeah. So in hindsight, best decision you've done?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Love it. Yeah. So many opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes, our roads are in a pretty bad condition at the moment, but I think if you look at the overall picture, you guys really have it good over here.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I just need to go back to South Africa for a day, if ever I want to complain, just to see what it's like there and what I actually have over here.
Yeah.
Just having this, I mean, I won't really do that back at home without a security guard waiting at the door.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Yeah. So this is a little bit off topic, by the way, but this gets me excited. So what kilowatt was your second MK7R?
Believe it or not,
or was it just standard?
It was standard, but I think that's one day made in Germany that wasn't supposed to leave the country because it was this prototype. Because I still remember my cousin just bought his second A45, the brand new, I think it was the 315 kilowatt one, which the Golfs in South Africa, they're only 206 kilowatts, standard, the 7s. You don't get them like over here, they come out 225 if you buy the R. And we had a race, a drag race obviously, more than 5 or 6 times that Golf killed that A45. And they were like, nah, you've done something to this car. There was a point where people actually told me that you probably put a GDR motor in this thing for real. That was the story that was going around. But yeah, that thing was just possessed, eh?
No, I believe it. I've got a little MK7 Wolfsburg that I bought for a little runabout. I saw a good deal, and I was like, oh, that's going to be my new runabout.
It does sound good.
It's so much fun to drive. And I know I was on a forum and they had a MK8R and they've actually gone backwards to MK7 Golf GTI, and because they like the rawness and performance of it in the hand. And I did have a MK7 GTI and I loved it and I regretted selling it.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why when this one popped up, I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. Easy. I love the car. It's such a good car.
It's a great daily. Great daily.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's why I was like, ooh, I wonder what that was. I was like, did he go through the stage? Now I'm in the deciding factor if I keep it completely 100% standard, if I go through to stage 1 or 2, but I wouldn't go through Yeah.
Oh, they
just
can
inside.
definitely handle it.
Yeah.
They build strong cars, VW.
Oh, yeah.
Real nice
definitely.
cars, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, ooh, I want it reliable ultimately. But I'm like, oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You'd like to try and make it faster than my car, I'm sure. So give it
No,
a go, mate.
no.
Go.
You know what? I've got this one event. I want to just take it to Tipuki Hill Climb and just drive my daily there. It's got this one event with Bay Pelini Motorsport, and I just want to do the hill climb there because I used to take my GTI to little events and it used to do really well. So I was like, you know what? I can use this little wagon for little odd events, and I'll just have that as my daily vehicle over the years because I'm just going to keep the rally car to rally 100%, and I'll do this one hill climb, Tipuki Hill Climb, in my daily, and because it handles real well and I'll be able to push it. And so I was like, I'll do that one in the street car.
Is yours four-wheel drive?
Yeah, it's four-wheel drive. It handles even better than GTI.
Yeah.
It's
They do
awesome.
handle well.
Yeah.
Great cars.
Yeah.
Great cars.
Yeah, that's what my vehicle has always been the case. If I was ever a drug dealer, that was the car I'd have because it handles well, it's inconspicuous, and you just fly under the radar. If you could really drive, nobody can keep up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cops won't suspect you because it's always either a Mercedes, a Audi, or a BMW that
It's
the
so-
bad
yeah.
guys use. So
Yeah.
Funny you say that. When I was taking my son to rugby and I drove past Grace Hospital, I was like, oh, that's a nice Mercedes, like a wagon. It looked like it was sacked on big wheels. And then I saw the big front wheel of the motorbike, and I think it was a headhunter. And they're taking a photo of the bike with one of them on the bikes. I was like, oh, lovely. And at the private hospital getting photos of their gear. But anyway.
Yeah. No.
So, New Zealand, it's been all right, has it?
yeah.
So what happened when you first came to New Zealand? What was the process?
So
Had a job before you came over?
no, actually, we actually decided that we're gonna come over here on a holiday
Yeah.
because I haven't seen my brother and them at that point in time. If I remember correctly, was 9 years. And my dad's also been here since 2012. So the original plan was to come over, scout, see how it is and just go about it, And we came here, we got here. I think I was here for 2 days. Spoke to one fella a bit, and within that conversation, the next thing I knew, I had a job offer.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay. So I guess we're staying. So my brother is a very good immigration lawyer, and he just applied for the visa. So I obviously couldn't work or anything until I had my work visa approved. So when that started, I worked for a company. So what they did, they built like big storage tanks for the councils where they put the water in for the cities and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I was working for them doing that for 8 months and then moved down to Invercargill from Auckland. So, we were in Auckland for 5 months, but I was just working all over the country. But that was where my wife and boy were based in Auckland. And they just used to fly me like on every second week. They'd fly me home to see them. And then they asked me, would I move down to Invercargill? Because that's where their headquarters is. I was like, yeah, I'll move down here. It's cold, but it's kind of nice because it's like a real country little city,
small
and
town,
everybody's
tiny.
nice there, and I actually loved it over there, to be honest. Moved down there, and so I've worked for them. I think I worked for them 6 months, maybe going on 7, and I lost my job. How's that? So.
What was that? They downsizing, lost the job themselves?
Nah,
so
me
didn't need you?
and the boss just had a bit of an argument in the workshop one afternoon, and
I can see that. You're quite argumentative.
things went south for me, and I was the main applicant. So basically what it meant was if I couldn't find a job within 30 days, we had to leave the country.
Yeah.
So I got home, felt real emotional, and new country, new people, don't really know anybody.
World's
We
against
came over here with 3 bags. One got stolen on the Johannesburg airport, so 2 bags. But Qantas was good. We had that insurance, so they paid us out for the value of the clothes and stuff that was in the bag. So, we basically started all over, but didn't have any support system, nothing, So went home, and my wife could see.
How was it trying to tell your wife?
No, so that was the hard part, because I walked in, and she looked at me and she could see like something's wrong. Right. And she's like, what happened? And I just remember I kind of like burst into tears at that point, and I was just like, oh, I lost my job and everything. And she's just like, it's okay, we'll work it out. And we met this lovely people down there, also South Africans, Lucas and Nikki. And that was actually her birthday that day. So Chantal sent a text and said, George lost his job, because she worked for the same company as what. So Chantal actually worked for the same company as me as well. Or, we worked for the same company. And then they text and they were like, no, well, we're having dinner at this place for Nicolette's birthday. Just come over, cheer you guys up. And I was like, oh, not really in the mood, but we'll go. So we went, and I remember Lucas was sitting around this restaurant table. And as I walked in, he looked me dead in the eyes, and the first thing he told me was, congratulations, mate. And I'm like, is this guy mad or what's going on? I just lost my job. Why are you telling me congratulations? So just to give you a bit of his background, him and Nicolette are actually real big and successful property investors as well in New Zealand. So as he told me this, I was like, I don't know, this guy must be crazy. But in any case, and we had a bit of a conversation, me and him. And that's actually where my company started, C4 Carriers, that I own today. So we were sitting around the table the next night discussing, business opportunities. And I told him, well, I want to get into transport, and that's like my passion over here. That's what I want to do. So obviously we had the thing where you can't just do anything if you don't have the visas for it. So just going forward a wee bit, we managed to get Chantal onto like a work to residence visa, which basically allowed me to get an open work visa, which allowed me to have my own business.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's how I got into doing that, but not being a resident yet. And also,
so what was the congratulations, if we just stop you?
So the congratulations was because he said
it opens up a window, and
like bigger things are coming, like.
But he didn't approach you on opening C4 Carriers at that time. He was just like,
no, like me and him prior to this. So say a week prior to that, we had a barbecue and we were just speaking. Like he asked me what I want to do if I got residence and all of that. I said, no, I'm gonna buy a truck, and that's what I want to do. Yeah,
yep.
And we actually just clicked from the word go, me and him, because he's very business minded and I'm business minded. So
I've met him.
Yeah. And so after the night that he told me congratulations, we were sitting around our dining table, and now Chantal's boss said, okay, she can keep working for the company. Phoned my brother. He applied for her to be the main applicant. All that got approved within a couple of days. So I got my open work visa and we could stay in the country. So that's one
huge
little bit of weight off my shoulder. And we were just sitting around the dining table, me, Lucas, Nicolette and Chantal, and talking about, thinking of maybe starting small, because me and Lucas then decided we're going to do something together. So we thought about maybe getting a courier run, like an NZ Post type of thing, and then moving it into something bigger after a year or two, like into the trucks or whatever. And then another day or 2, 3 passed. I was on Trade Me looking for stuff like that, and also looked at the bigger trucks and stuff. And we came together again, sat around the same table, thinking of company names and all of that. And, so this is what I gathered. This is the information he's gathered. And he was like, actually, let's forget about the NZ Post type of thing. let's go straight for the big guns. Let's just open a transport company. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I like that idea. So as we were busy talking, Chantal was just like, well, seeing as we're talking about it, I'm going to register an email address for. So we decided on C4 Carriers, which is going to be the company's name.
I've seen you guys.
Yeah, and Chantal, she registered like an email address for us, created one on Gmail. And me and Lucas jumped in the car a week later, drove up all the way from Invercargill up to the North Island. First, we went to Gisborne to go and have a look at a truck there that was for sale with a contract, a logging truck. And that didn't really work out because the company that truck worked for, the guy just didn't, at that point in time, have enough faith that we'd be able to pull it off, you know. So we came up to Rotorua. We saw Gary Stewart from Aztec, and that's the people I'm subcontracting to now. We had a good conversation with him and told him, you know, how we want to do it and all of that. And there was a truck for sale. Obviously, one of the owner drivers wanted to get out of it. So fast forward another week, me and Lucas back in Invercargill, drove 5,500 kilometers in 1 week. We were so tired, you know, like all we did was just drive, stop and have a little nap and continue driving, looking for contracts. I'll never forget the day I actually registered the company while sitting next to him in the vehicle. It's like, okay, well, this went on the company's office, registered, done all of that. So, yeah, my company was created in a car, mate, believe it or not.
And that's an awesome story, because the amount of people that ring me as a finance guy going, oh, what runs are out there? Can you help me get a job? Like, that's what it takes. Get off your ass and go and do something. Like, nothing's getting handed to you on a plate.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. 5,500 kilometers driving around the nation to find your contract. You deserve a contract after you put in that kind of effort.
Yeah. So we really went and saw a couple of people, and there was a couple more opportunities we could have went with or gone with. But we decided at that point in time we wanted to go with logging and with Aztec, which was a very good decision. And
yeah, I know a lot of drivers for Aztec.
Yeah. There's a lot of owner drivers for Aztec at the moment, and they like a real good company to subcontract for. So fast forward another month, we've done everything we needed to do, get our TSL in order, get our finance approved, all of that. Gary came back to us about 3 weeks later, said, yep, the director's approved you guys buying this truck, and they're happy for you to put a driver on it. So we put Lucas' brother-in-law on the truck. He started with us. Fast forward another year, put our second truck on the road, which was now 2020, January. The lock market went poof, like totally dead almost.
I remember that time. I had
that was just before COVID hit. And actually a month prior to that, the second-hand truck we bought just blew its engine.
Wow.
That was a $42,500 exercise to get that fixed. And put the new truck on the road. The trucks were, Aztec are really good in downturns. They really keep it fair with, you know, everybody in the group to try and not park one truck up more than the other. And they really do a good job by keeping everyone busy still. So
drop you down to 4 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Just keep you all moving.
Yeah, we were just actually down to 4 days, which we were very fortunate, because a lot of other companies only had a day or 2 days work a week, you know. And then COVID hit, so that was us. No logging trucks on the road because it's not essential. So at that point in time, I was just like subcontracting myself out to a company down in Invercargill. So I stayed down there. Lucas was up here, and I just like kind of did everything remotely. And if there's anything that needed urgent attention, Lucas would just go and do it. So he was driving the new Mercedes truck, and then we had Dan on the other one still. And with the lockdown, obviously they were at home. I was fortunate, but also I say fortunate to still be working because we were busy with a grape harvest down in Blenheim. But my youngest was actually just born. So at that point in time, my wife that I had, ex-wife now, she just had a newborn baby, 1 week old. I left to go and do the grape harvest. You can imagine all the
Tension. Yeah.
I don't like the word stress. So let's say,
Pressure.
yeah, pressure, but also I did not feel that relaxed, I was just a bit tense.
Agitated.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, as I'm driving the other guy's truck doing the grape harvest, I'm just thinking, man, in such a short period of time, the engine blow up, lock market crashed. And actually prior to the engine blow up, the lock market was also, not very good. And I was like, I really need to go and sit down and work things out and see how we can go about things. So done that, and I realized actually we're okay, even though everything that's happened, we'll just trade ourselves back into, we weren't in a bad place, but, obviously it takes a big chunk, Jason would know, it takes a big chunk out of your cash flow if your trucks are not working, but you still got a certain amount of overhead,
Yeah.
And after COVID happened, we moved up as soon as we were allowed to move and start moving around. I think that was level 3. Moved up. Me and Lucas were on both our trucks, and we hired our driver out to actually the director of Aztec, one of the directors, Peter Phillips, because he didn't have a driver for one of his trucks at that stage. So he helped us out in that sense, so we didn't lose our driver in the long run until he found someone. Then roll on to July 2020. I rolled the truck. The Rotorua roundabout, that Hemo Gorge one.
Just by the redwoods there.
It's actually Hemo George now. It's my roundabout. But rolled the truck. Almost died that day, but I didn't. So
You weren't going that quick through there, eh? It's just got a steep pinch in that roundabout.
Oh, yeah, it's got that. But look, I probably
You weren't too
in,
quick, but it wasn't like you're doing 50 Ks through it.
No,
was it? So
no.
what sort of speed do you reckon you might have been doing?
So, I entered the roundabout at about 32 kilometers an hour, which is a bit way too hot for a logging truck with a high load. But, lesson learned.
Seeing that.
And it's,
because it fell off, because it drops down. There's a walkway underneath it or something, and you fell down into that.
Yeah.
So it's not like you just fell on the side, you fell off something.
I went over, mate. Full send.
Wow.
And
how was your body after that?
it was okay, actually. Yeah.
The Western Star took the fall.
I got shot out of the seatbelt, believe it or not, onto the passenger side. But, it was honestly something I never want to experience again.
Yeah.
Because that couple of seconds feels like hours while you're being thrown around in the cab and, you don't actually know where you are. You're disorientated. And
I can tell. I've had a big accident recently. I can resonate.
And got out of it. Lucky to be walking. I had a couple of bruises, but that was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even bleeding, mate. So there was really no climax to it. But as I remember going into the roundabout, didn't feel any sense of panic, because normally you'd feel if you're going too fast.
Yeah.
And
then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I just remember there was a little car waiting to go in, and it was two young girls in it. And she actually was hesitating, should she go in front of me or just wait? And luckily she waited. Otherwise, it could have ended real bad for them. And there was this guy, when I was still on the passenger side, right at the bottom, there was this guy peeking through the window, but he looked like, he wanted to look, but he didn't want to look, if it makes sense.
Wanted to look, but he didn't want to help you? Or?
No, he weren't sure what he was going to say.
What he was going to see, So he helped me out of the truck, got out, and now there's these 2 girls standing there, crying and devastated, talking to me, and I'm thinking to myself, why are you crying? But any case, they were okay, and they left, so luckily nothing happened to them. And then the police came and everything, and had to go through multiple drug tests, and they're pretty strict on trucks having accidents in this country. The police, CVRU, handled it really well. I have to say they were really great, with the whole investigation and everything. They they were on top of it, and I honestly didn't feel like
criminalized.
Yeah, like I'm not part of this country, or that there was none of that.
Yeah.
They just actually they calmed me down, made sure I was okay, and
dealt with the information at hand.
Yeah,
accidents happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, like, I my accident, it shouldn't have happened, but I got distracted, and then the car did something that it shouldn't have done in situation. And I was a passenger while driving it, and even I knew exactly what I needed to do, but the car wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah,
because you went off the road, the safety systems sort of take over,
The safety system took over, and I was just sliding, and it was like, God damn it. And I knew it was just a little mistake when my left tire went on the grass, and then the safety system took over. Yeah. So, but it's like a long period of time. But yeah, it's like mistakes happen. So it's cool that they took that kind of experience and kind of like didn't criminalize you. You know what I mean?
No, definitely, yeah. But luckily you're okay as well. So I
yeah,
guess,
same thing as you, just walk straight out of it.
You can always, repair or fix vehicles or get a new one, but you can't replace a life,
Yeah.
Once you're dead, that's it. Nothing can bring you back. So, so the next day, Lucas and them came over to my house, and he was kind of just like, he wants to get out of the company. So asked me if I want to buy his shares and all of that. And at that point in time, I didn't feel ready to like have all this responsibility on myself at that point in time. So I had another business partner come into the business for a couple of months. And so the following June, so say for about 8 months, I had another guy with me doing it. And I just
didn't work out well.
I'm going to do this on my own. It's better just to do it on my own. So me and Lucas made a deal and everything, and I bought his shares over. So since 2021, June 2021, I was the 100% owner of C4 Carriers, and me and Lucas are still friends and everything. There's no bad blood between us and all of that. Just they had their properties and real estate and everything that was his like main thing he wanted to do, and he's doing very well for himself, so good on him for that. But it's good the experiences you get when you go into partnership with people, and you just see the different ways people think about things and people go about doing things and stuff.
The good and the bad.
Yeah. So it was a good experience, but I'm happy to say that it's nice to be the sole owner and shareholder of the company, and just business has been booming ever since. It's been real great. And
sometimes it's nice to be able to see an opportunity or something that you need to action and not have to square it off with somebody else as well.
Yeah,
because a lot of times, even in business, or I'll get excited by an idea, and then if I have to square it off with somebody else, the opportunity's gone by the time I get the approval. And even if I get the approval, I'm often not excited about.
Yeah, you lost your mojo.
Yeah, I lost mojo when it would have been done, like boom, straight away. So it's all of the essence. So
that's what I'm having to adapt to, because I've been this lone wolf for so long, and now obviously with Quantum Asset Finance, which by the time this is live would have been announced, it's trying to open a bank account or design a logo, and they're like, no, we've got people for that. You just wait, but they're just working on this, and then they're going to get to them. Like, I could have it sorted in like 4 hours. But there's a whole system, and because I'm coming into something that's bigger than me, now I have to just like pump the brakes and twiddle my thumbs, wait a little bit.
But sometimes it's benefit of that too, it's got both ties of the system.
I just have to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately now I'm a business, and now I'm like, I can focus on what I do, which is dealing with my customers, raising finance and building a team, rather than fucking around with a logo and an Excel spreadsheet. Because once, I've been five parts of the business, the finance guy, the administrator, like everything. Now I could pull away, but
just focus what you're good at.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's not about me today; it's about George. But yeah,
But it all talks over and swings around in business.
We'll do a podcast on what I'm up to shortly. But so that's awesome.
So that's cool that you kind of took the moment and you actually was like, you know what, take the reins. Actually, this is the right opportunity for me to take an action and go from there.
Oh, definitely, and it's all, like I've just that since we started the business, I've had that burning desire for it, and like transport's my passion, trucks are my passion, and I just said, like when I start this, I'm not gonna finish it until I win, until I'm where I want to be, and believe it or not, I just actually today had this thought cross my mind, and I was like, you know what? In a couple of years from now, I see my future self on the Forbes list, and that's what I'm going to work towards. Well,
it's got this thing about manifestation, and it's actually been proven by the CIA as a true thing. Yeah, like the amount of times I've actually looked through and pictured something, and it's happened exactly how I thought it would. Yes, it's had hard work leading up to that, but basically, I keep saying it, I've got it on the back of one of the compound hats, hard work pays off, like I've always said it. Yeah. And people think, things just come to them. But no, it comes to you with hard work and the actual true belief that you're going to achieve it. So I believe it. I was sitting here, I'll be like, look, I was chatting to the guy who said he was on the Forbes list, and I actually, seriously, you'll manifest it if you really truly believe it.
Your mind is so powerful, and thoughts become things.
Well, the way it kind of works is we've all got the reticular activating system, right? Yeah. So that's everyone can relate to. Oh man, I really want a red Ford Ranger. You don't see red Ford Rangers, and arguably I can't really think of too many of them. But you buy one, you drive down the road, and you'll see 5 on the way into work. Yeah. Because now your RAS works as your mind, like you look in a room, you'll know that, there's a stapler over there and there's a cranberry mix over there and there's all this sorts of shit. But your mind filters through all that and tells you what's important to you straight away. So you probably walked in here and saw a Porsche sign and a Ferrari, because that's what's important to you and that's what you notice. And that's what your RAS system's doing. So when you start actually putting stuff out there to the universe, that's always, your manifestation, that's always what's in front of your brain. Yeah. And say, look, I'm going to get a new run for a truck. If you're closed off to it, you're not going to hear the opportunity, but you might be having that conversation with yourself every morning, and then you're sitting in an office and you just hear something in the corner of your ear. Oh, what'd you say? Someone's selling that run? Oh, I could be interested in that. And you're straight away on that path, and it just snowballs. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And, like I was always someone who I wouldn't say, well, I guess you can say a dreamer, but also when I dream and when I think about things, I actually do achieve it. Like I set goals for myself. And
well, this is, you know what? I actually think it's a good thing to have like this interest in cars from a young age. And I know it seems weird and it seems really superficial, but you're like, you've always been a kid and you've had nothing. You're like, one day I'd like to own that car. And then all of a sudden you're driving it. Yeah. You're driving a car and then you're like, oh, I'd like to own this car. And then all of a sudden you're driving it. And you know what happens? The time that you think that you start to, I'd like to drive a Defender. 5 years, but it's 2 years. And the period of time that you think it's actually achievable, it's actually achievable way sooner than what you actually think about it, because you've put it out there. You always underestimate what you can achieve and what you're capable of.
But they actually drive you towards like getting out of bed and doing those things, right?
Massively.
And I'm going to do it shortly because I'm fucking, after going to Aussie, it did my head, and being a big guy, 6'1", quite broad. Any of us sitting in economy down the back is an uncomfortable situation. I was trying to eat like this, and I was like, you know what? I'm flying business next time. They always say they say first class, but even if it's business, you should be able to fly first class or business once. And once you've done that, you'll work your ass off because you'll never want to sit in that back of the plane again, right? Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing with your car. Like once you've had your Mark 7 Golf, I know what cars you've currently got and I know what you've had. You're always looking for the next car. You're not looking for, actually I might go back down to a Lada now. or a Morris. You know, you're always taking that step forward in life.
Yeah.
Except for me with that little runabout.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
No, but in saying that though, I did buy a nice car for my wife.
It's still, and it's a lot newer than the AE86 you just sold, so it's kind of a step up.
That was a collector's.
Well, 85 wasn't it? Sorry.
A85.
Yeah.
And you know, like with the mindset thing, it's like what I'm going to tell you now, and it's actually, when I think about it, I still get like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because I was driving, and obviously when you drive trucks, it's long hours. Like I used to get up at 1 a.m. every single morning and just go and smash it, you know, whatever the day had to offer, I just went and smashed it. And there were some days where you're really, really tired and you think, oh, is this all worth it? And then I just immediately, I changed my mindset. I'd either put a motivational speech on or just something to get me thinking differently.
Common unity.
Yeah. Well, point in time, you guys didn't exist yet.
But now, obviously, you're up to date. You know.
So, just
by the way, the last episode is really good.
I haven't listened to it actually. Well, not this one, the previous one.
Yeah. Sorry, we digress. Carry on.
Sorry.
You're thinking of yourself. You're listening to Common Unity on the truck.
I'll just get my HA at the back and make sure you guys can't talk anymore. Eh? So, you know, driving and thinking, man, some days, is this worth it? Is it all going to pay off in the end? And then I just suddenly say, no, you're not thinking that way. It's going to be good. It's going to work out. And I'll put on this positive either podcast or motivational thing on Spotify and just, you know, something that fires me up. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're like, the first thing, if your eyes are open and like, the day is going to be miserable and I can't be bothered, then it is going to be miserable. It's like, think if you stand in front of a workshop with 100 people on this side and 100 people on that side, you've got 100 positive and 100 negative people, right? And you're now the leader and you need to motivate your team to go work. If the first thing you say when you get onto that stage or wherever you stand, you say like, oh, I got a headache. Suddenly all 200 people's going to have a headache because it's like a subconscious thing, you know. And if you look like sluggish and you don't want to do anything, and everybody's going to be like that. So you really need to, I'm not saying you need to be Energizer Bunny every day, but at least 99.9% try and give out that positive energy.
Well, you don't even have to give it. You just need to focus on the positive,
positive
parts. You know, it's really, really simple. A lot of people often say to me, like, why are you always positive? And it's like, because it's actually so much more effort to be negative. It's actually really, really hard.
100%.
Like, I can focus on somebody pissing me off, but then again, I'm like, you know what? It's much easier for me to think maybe they're just having a bad day and it wasn't directed towards me.
Yeah,
and they don't know that you're pissed off. So you're just using that energy up yourself while they go about their day quite happily.
100%.
It's like normal, like nothing's happened.
They're just pissing off another 5 or 6 people on the way.
So often, and I'll often be the case where I'm like, oh, I might see somebody's kind of a little bit foul or something, like you going through a checkout, and instead of matching their energy, I'll completely own my own energy, and then straight away, like I know it's like really off for them, but then they'll give me this look and they'll be like, that's exactly kind of what I needed today.
Yeah.
Whereas if you match the energy, you'd be like, that person was really had it in for me. They weren't nice to me. And then you'll think it was bad customer service. It's like, you know what? They're people too, you know? And if you just go around just walking around, you're smiling and you're just smiling for the sake of it, guess what? Everybody starts smiling back at you.
Exactly.
It's really simple.
Yeah, the universe mirrors your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, like, you know, when you're in a truck, you get a lot of time to think. Man, you get a lot of time to think because you're in there 14 hours a day.
On your own.
Just yourself and the music and whatever you listen to, right? So I just said that one day, and I'll never, ever forget it, was on the 7th of July, 2021. Because I always said when I started the business, you know, for the first 5 years, if I can just get by and do what I need to do, pay my first 2 trucks off, then I'll be happy, you know, and then obviously I'll start growing the company from there. But on that day, I just had this switch flick in my head, and it was like, nah, actually, end of this month, this will be the amount I want in my bank account. This will be the profit I want to make. And I just started thinking ahead, like the following month, this is what I want to achieve. That's what I want to achieve. Like setting short-term, little short goals. And I actually started, whatever I thought about, it would have been a $50 or $100 difference in my bank account. And I was like, wow. So then I just started thinking bigger and bigger and bigger. And business just started getting better and better and better. And even though we still had our downturns in the lock market, it didn't even bother me anymore. Because I was so positive that, man, you can drop a nuke right next to me and I would be like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go make money. We'll think about that later, So it's actually so amazing to be in this position where, yes, obviously you get your days where you feel a bit negative and all that, but to be able to turn those negative thoughts into positive thoughts and just going about your day and smashing things, meeting new people, networking. And I've said when I turn 35, I want to get off of driving permanently and just like started managing the business. I'm 32 and a half now, you can say, and I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Employed people driving my trucks. I got a new truck starting hopefully in 2 weeks. It'll go on the road, so I'll be in it for a week, and then I got another driver starting. So that's 3 years before I actually wanted to do it, but now I just realized, wow, okay.
The power of manifestation.
Yeah. And the same thing you said earlier on, like you actually underestimate what you can achieve in a short period of time.
Yeah, what the saying is, people overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because, in 12 months, a lot of people will start a business and think, oh, yeah, in 12 months, I'm going to be driving a Lamborghini and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, mate, you're kidding. But in 5 years, 100%.
Oh, exactly.
You can get their piece of piss within 5 years if you actually focus and grow a business.
I don't know if you guys ever watched that documentary on Netflix. It's called The Secret.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's on there anymore.
Yeah, read the book and stuff.
Yeah. So there's this part where this guy says, you should manifest the car. How are you going to buy it? You walk into the dealership and he sits on his couch with his little dog and he's closing his eyes and he just dreams of driving this car. And that thing stick to me, and that's what I do now.
Yeah. My next one's the Porsche GT3 RS.
Oh,
yeah, that's my supercar. But I'm like, it's not for like any other reason other than it's just something to work towards. It doesn't give me any feeling. It doesn't make me achieve anything else or feel anything better about myself. I just like it for the performance and what it does.
Yeah, exactly.
I can drive from the street to the track, and that's all I'd like.
And as I've said, like having these cars, the people we've met, because he's been on the driving tours with the people that you surround yourself.
Oh, it
motivates. They motivate the hell out of you. So you got yourself to a position where I've got my cute little Audi, and I show up there, and there's a $1 million Aventador or a $1.5 million Aston Martin, but you're just one of them, and you have great conversations, and then you leave there like, fuck, I'm doing nothing with my life. I've time to ramp it up, and
I'm one of my mentors, and I sent him a message a very while ago to actually thank him. But one of my mentors is like the most undercover dude you'd ever know. He's still wearing like a pair of Nikes that I supplied him like when I was working for Nike, like
10 years old.
You would never know. And I was like, I saw him, I was like, fuck. You can afford whatever the car you want, but you're still wearing the pair of Nikes that I hooked up for you because I was got a good discount.
It's contractors for you though. Contractors, farmers, like they don't want that stuff.
Yeah,
they're happy up there.
But super successful. So I've got this thing. I want to go and buy something just wearing everyday clothes, not trying to be something you think that I'm not. I just want to.
Oh, exactly.
If I feel like not wearing barefoot shoes that day, I'll walk out there not wearing shoes. That's just my thing. I've always had this envision.
Buy it in cash.
Yeah, that's how I want to do it. So I'll be like, yep, cool, okay, sweet, boom. Don't know anything for it, done.
Now's the time.
Yeah.
I know it's got those things there where sometimes you better invest your money in cash in different ways, but for this thing, nah.
No, it's the same, like I've always believed, like, I don't know how you guys, when you grew up, how your parents like kind of groomed you into things where a big South African thing is kind of like keeping up with the Kardashians. Oh, not Kardashians, the Jonases.
Joneses. But
Yeah.
it's the new age, the 2023
Yeah.
version
So-
of the Kardashians. So you're up to
We'll never
date.
keep up with them. So we're all going to be billionaires.
No, but just like, you know, I don't buy the cars and stuff I do because I want to prove, hey,
No.
I'm better than that one or anything. It's just because that's what I love.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like some people, gym is their fix, or some people go to strong substances for their fix or whatever, but cars are my fix. That's what I get my natural high or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's what makes me happy. If I woke up or if I wake up in the morning, like sometimes I don't even drive this BMW a lot, and I'll just wake up in the morning. I just want to see it there.
I
Touch it.
I get
just
it.
like want to touch it, and then I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's like, yep.
So,
my day's made.
so what part in your business career, since owning your business, did you have this big shift in mindset?
So I would say after buying my business partner out and just like sitting down one day, because in this whole process, I've also lost my wife.
Was that
When we separated.
before or after? Or?
So in this whole COVID and post COVID.
It's a hard period of time.
Yeah. So it happened a year after COVID. We got our residence, and a couple of months after that, you know, the separation and everything happened. And it was just, like, you know, there was so much going on, and I knew that, look, I had the business to focus on. I can't let that slip because, you know, what am I going to do then? So I just decided this burning desire, this is going to work. I will become super successful so basically, to give you a good answer, is I took all the pain and I put it into gain.
Yeah.
So I just literally went every day, tried to be as positive as I could be, and said, look, I'm going to do this for my boys. I'm doing it for myself as well. And that's it. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. I'm just going to do this
Just
for
do
me
you.
and my kids,
Yeah.
you know? And just started listening, like I said, to more positive podcasts and stuff. And actually, a very good friend of mine as well, and he's also one of the Aztec directors, Peter Phillips. He said to me one day, you know, if you want to be a champion, you got to do what the champions do. And that stuck with me. And I was like, I kind of know what it means, but I don't really know what it means. So I just started looking at somebody, and I was like, okay, well, going on the internet, see if I could find any big, like my dad's got a mate back at home. He owns the biggest transport company in the country. And I was like, yep, that's going to be me. Because he's got thousands and thousands of trucks and private islands and everything he bought, obviously, with all of that. And he also started basically like me, you know, just started out small and just grew it into that big successful company. And I was like, yeah, that's who I want to choose as almost like my mentor, even though I don't speak to him or anything. But just
you don't need to. You just need to draw inspiration from them and just be like, okay, cool.
And it just, you know, like, it's amazing, like I said 10 minutes ago or so, if you just change your thoughts to positive thoughts and think positive things. Like sometimes if I hear people saying, you know, oh, I'm too poor to buy this, or I'm too this, or I kind of like just want to strangle them and say, stop saying it, because you don't know what you are saying over yourself and what you are actually causing to happen.
If you say it out of your mouth, guess what? Your body believes it.
Yeah.
If you say I'm worthless, I'm lonely, nobody will love me.
Yeah.
That's what will happen, and that's what will generate, because your subconscious actually believes it. So if you say, look, the right person will come at the right time, and I'll find that person that will help support me, grow me, build me up, and do exactly what I need to do, guess what? It naturally happens. You know, it's really simple. If you go through, the right opportunity will present itself at the right time. Guess what? It did. It does, you know. It's so simple, and it's happened multiple times, and you start to realize when it happens more times than what you really think, then you start geeking out and actually looking and researching this stuff, and all the information's out there.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just like, what do you want to choose to, because anybody can focus on the negative, the positive. You can focus on which way you choose. So, you know, it's really cool. And to be honest, most people don't start to figure this out until they're in their late 40s, you know, or never figure it out. Yeah. Like I've got people that I know, I won't say names or anything because it's too closely related, but they're retired and still not figuring it out.
Yeah. Most people never figure it out.
Yeah, and that's
because it sounds too hairy-fairy. It's like you can't just think something. Like,
exactly. Like,
well, you sound stupid because you're like, but it's the case. Well, I've proven it.
But the thinking leads to the action. Like you can't think it
and do nothing.
But if you believe it enough, you take the steps towards it, you'll get there.
Yeah. You can't think, I'm going to own a Lambo and sit down and do no work.
Oh, exactly.
You know, you've got to actually go through, okay, what would the mindset of somebody that would own a Lambo, how would they feel? What are the steps they're taking? Are they going to sit down here playing PlayStation, or are they going to get up and try to talk to people and see what opportunities are out there and available, and then start going through? That's why I keep saying you never know what opportunities are going to be really good or beneficial, because something will present itself at the right time that when you do go for it, you're just actually going to go, you always put your best foot forward. And then even if that job is not the right job for you, but if you put your best foot forward, you never know. You might be headhunted for another position that might be the right position. Somebody else wants to work with you because they're like, you're doing this lame ass job, but your energy was perfect. Like, and it's all the good jobs and roles I've had. It's not because I've been trying to do it.
Yeah.
It's just because it naturally occurred. I haven't been going out of my personality in any which way by 1 degree. It's just you go through and you're like, oh, look, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity and enjoy it. You know, and it's like how you got headhunted for the Vodafone job and all these other things, and
the new business,
it's cool.
It was the same. They approached me.
Like, say if you went for the meeting and with the Aztec guys, and you went in there all miserable and all foul mood, I guarantee he'd be like, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work with him.
Exactly.
You know, it's really that simple.
Yeah. And also, you know, you wouldn't have walked in there with like, what can I get from you? And that's what I see even with some people that ring me, like, what can I get from you? You would have gone on and said, I'll work for you and I'll do X amount of hours. And they're like, okay, this guy's adding value to our business. We can't afford not to have him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another really good point of view.
And also, you know, like just be a doer. That's, I think, if I can give anybody advice out there, stop worrying about what other people are going to say. If you fail, so what? Guess what? You've done more than 99% of someone just sitting on his couch and not even actioning anything.
Yeah.
Like, I've had so many people tell me when we told him that we're coming over here now permanently, to stay permanently, oh, we'll see you over 3 months. It's never going to work. See you in a year, you know. And I was just like, righto. That's just like a better
projecting their own limitations.
Yeah, you know. And even when I started the company, I had so many people tell me, buying a second-hand truck, it's not going to work. You're setting yourself up for failure. And no, actually, that was my school fees. Yeah. So now this is game time.
Yeah. Well, sometimes even buying, like, it might be the case where buying a new vehicle is actually better, but sometimes to even allow yourself to propel yourself to get the opportunity, buying a second-hand is what you need to do. Even if it does blow up down the track, it's enough to get you off the line. So,
exactly.
And it's what you need to do. Boom, you do all the right steps that, okay, cool. Well, you know, it's...
Yeah,
I had this role where I was working and I was buying into a practice, and I decided to pull out halfway through buying into it, but the amount of stuff that I learnt was so good that it wasn't a lost opportunity, and I'm still thankful for that opportunity. I'm just glad I listened to my gut as well and didn't continue to go through it. But it was still positive. I walked away from half of my money because it had a clause. If I walked away, I don't get my money back, and that's fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
But guess what? It opened up an opportunity that I gained so much more from it indirectly.
100%. Same with the second-hand truck I bought. Yes, that cost me a lot of money to get it up to where it is now. And actually, it's been a good truck the last 2 years, and credit to my new driver as well. But, you know, this truck helped me into this Aztec contract, which opened up the gates for me. Like,
had you not bought a second-hand truck, you wouldn't have that contract.
Exactly. I might have bought a new truck and worked for someone else, and, you know, there might have been different issues. So
you could have been down the Hawke's Bay and then just gone through all the damage and floods and
which is really sad for what happened to those people, you know, and I really feel for them. But like, you know, I'm just really, really fortunate and happy to have such a good place to subcontract to, and just love every minute of life, I guess.
There's two things I want to say. One, up there, if people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't hear them anymore. That's definitely what you've been doing along the way, George, as I've been following you. And the second thing is very hard to improve numbers that you don't know. So when you are talking about, you know, setting the goals and different things where you want it to be in your business, and this is why I created Profitable Pathways, you're one of the only people I know, the owner drivers that I speak to, that really know their numbers. It's very rare to come across guys that know their numbers as well as you. So I think there's a bright future ahead of you, just for the simple fact that you get it. You get the business side of it rather than just showing up and driving. Yeah. And that's very important. If you're a business, you need to know business.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And, you know, I think Profitable Pathways is a real good thing for owner drivers that really don't want the hassle of that part of the business, like you even said when you advertise.
Or just don't know it, right?
Yeah. Like, just get guys like yourself out there to do and run that part of the business for you, and then they can just focus on driving.
Yeah, do what they love.
Sometimes it's good to be penny foolish but pound wise. I know the normal saying is that don't be whatever the normal saying is. I don't even know.
It sounds pretty normal.
I don't think about pennies. I just think about the pounds. So but life in New Zealand is good, man. There's so many opportunities here, and it amazes me when I listen to some people my age or a bit younger than me, and you know, they're just going to Aussie or wherever they want to go, and I'm like, why do you want to leave when there's so much opportunity? Look, each to their own, right? I obviously immigrated, but to different reasons. Then I think New Zealand is probably the best country to live in at this moment in time, because yes, there's a bit of this and that going on, but at least you don't have to look over your shoulders every 2 minutes, unless if Jason's following you. That's a different scenario.
Thanks for that, mate.
Yeah. No, it's just like there's so many opportunities here, you know, and
you just need to be open to seeing opportunities.
Exactly, and just go and do it. Like, you guys would have got it a lot as well, but I often get people tell me, you know, when they see me driving my cars or they hear about my business I've got or whatever, and they're like, oh, you know, you're so lucky and this and that. I'm like, nah, it's got nothing to do with luck.
I said it to a client today. They had bought a new vehicle, new beautiful Audi, and I'm very lucky. And I actually said, they're much older than me, and I said, you're not lucky at all. And she was like, no, actually, I agree with you. Her husband's worked really hard. She stayed at home, working her ass off, raising children, and she's put her husband in a position that he can go and work hard and fly back and forth from Australia. And she thought she was being lucky. I was like, you're not being lucky. You've been a team unit You've done your part of the team to go and do that, so he can do that, so he can provide for you. That's not luck.
Anyone try and tell us we're lucky? I was in here all day Sunday filming podcasts for the Action Playbook. It's Tuesday night. What is it? 8:30 now. We're recording podcasts again. My wife's still out working. She probably won't get home till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
I was up at 6:30 this morning. So
so luck. Luck's a lot of fucking hours. A lot of fucking hours.
Same thing I told them, like.
But guess what? We could be all poor us. We're working, but guess what? We get the opportunity to sit down, having this conversation, being able to grow, learn things, reinforce things that we may have forgotten as well. It's pretty cool.
And
it is definitely, and it's like you said the other day. I think it was on one of your podcasts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you need to be able to like position yourself, like when you went to that Live Golf Festival and all of that. That's also something I do believe in, because that's when things are actually now just starting for me. Where I'm out of this position of driving permanently. So now is where the opportunities come, because I'm not just going to stay in logging. Yes, that's going to be one of my main things I do, but I'm going to diversify.
Yeah.
Not to have all my eggs in one basket. And now if I say go to the golf course, even though I'm not really a good golf player, but that's networking. You're going to meet other like-minded business people, entrepreneurs. Next minute, you'll be on a plane going somewhere with them. And before you even know, there's another 10 trucks on order coming. And, that's just how life works.
You just got to position yourself for the people you want to meet was kind of probably what I was saying in that podcast, right? So tomorrow, if I went and played the Haggle in Te Puke golf, I'd be there with all the growers that own all the orchards. So if I wanted to start cutting their fruit, that'd be a good place to meet some of the people. Or if I wanted to get into a spraying business or, anything to do with orchards, perfect place to go. I'm in the transport industry. Yeah, I was at the Brisbane Truck Show last week. Why? Because it's a room full of the right people.
Yeah.
So, luck doesn't fall into your lap, but luck happens because you took the steps to get you to that position, that opportunity that you're still lucky to have is there because you put yourself there. Yep.
And also getting back to the luck part, when these people, because they were actually real good friends of mine, some of them back at home, you're so lucky in this. I said, actually, 5.5 years ago, I basically packed up everything, moved to a country that I've never even seen before. I actually didn't even think New Zealand had sealed roads. I thought it was just the island of like metal roads, to be honest.
Fiji or something, yeah.
I never Googled it. Had nothing. Just came here, on a holiday.
Had the trust.
Yeah. And I just had that thing, obviously just for holiday at first, but when we got here and I started speaking to people and they offered me a job, I was like, yep, let's do it. Yeah. And also I said to them, I wake up every day at 1 a.m., drive 14 hours a day, 13 because you need to take 2 half-an-hour breaks, but in any case, say 14 hours a day in total that you at work.
From home to home,
yeah. And then get home and you still do emails, you still do this, you still do that. So every day, 1 a.m. up. And if you call that lucky, then I guess I am lucky, but while you're sleeping warm in bed at night or having parties every weekend, I'm out there doing it. So if you want to call that lucky, then go ahead.
Yeah, when I was doing all my fighting, I used to gain massive enjoyment from going for my runs late at night, from 10 p.m., 11 p.m. onwards, just for the pure fact that I know for a fact that whoever I was fighting was in bed.
Yeah, sleeping.
And that gave me so much of a huge mental aspect with regards to when I'm doing it. So whenever I haven't fought in a few years, but even when I was fighting for that, I was doing my training late at night for the pure fact that I had the mental aspect that I knew for a fact it was highly unlikely the fact that they were doing it. And then even if they were doing it, I know that for a fact they weren't doing it at the same intensity as me. So I still had the same benefit, and it's got something nice about it. Even though I hate mornings, I hate training, I hate running, I don't enjoy any of it. Even for the fact I'm going to start something new, I'm going to start getting up at 5 a.m., walking up on the mount on a Friday, and then because I don't have a shower at work, I'm going to go for a swim at the beach before I go to work. Not because I like it, it's just because I'm doing it more for the fact I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you felt alive where you had a group of us, and some of them I think still do it.
You do feel alive afterwards.
I did it for about 4 months, and just getting up every Friday, up there, watch the sunset come up, run down, jump in the ocean.
Yeah.
Tackle a shark, come back out, have some breakfast.
I don't get the after part. I have to go straight to work. I can't. I don't even. I realized I was like, I don't have time with the winter. I can't watch the sunrise. I've got to get back down, or else I'm going to be late to work.
Yeah. No, it's just actually, once again in this country, all the opportunities we have, and literally, man, just get off your ass.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
So over the last few years, is there any kind of lessons you'd re-give yourself? This isn't my big question I ask everybody.
You mean in New Zealand?
Just in is there anything that you've learned that you do a bit differently?
To be honest, no.
Yeah.
I actually feel content with how everything's gone and how I've handled it and what I've learned from it. So if I could rewind time, I would actually do the same thing again. I
don't think anyone successful wants their life without the losses, because the losses are the wins. Well, you learn more from a loss than you will any win. A win's comfortable. The losses, you learn, you grow, you test yourself.
Well, you know what? This is the straight point of gratitude, because you got to be happy for where you're at. Yeah. And in order to actually be have gratitude for where you're currently at, you've actually got to have the whole experience beforehand, or else you wouldn't be exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see that kind of 360. Like, no, actually, like even where I've gone or bits and pieces, even some things would have been negative over the past period of time, but it's so good to see that you've actually, like, you know what, I'm actually happy with the choices that's happened. Everything's worked out because it's important. Like I've got clients that wish that certain aspects of their life didn't happen, and then I just say to them, it's really simple. Well, since that time you've had this child, when you look at your eyes and they're like eyes and they've been like, wow, it's pretty amazing. You're like, pretty beautiful, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Would you change that moment for anything? No. Well, then in saying that though, if you change one thing, anything, even if you turn left rather than right, that situation and that child wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
Okay. If you change one thing. So you've got to be, okay, moving forward, you can use the information that you used from previously and change what you do in the future, but you can't be embarrassed by it. It's cool.
No,
well
definitely. Yeah,
good job.
It's all like, stepping stones, and you learn from it. And I definitely wouldn't have appreciated everything in life that I have. And, like, every morning I wake up, and even, let's say, forget about the business, forget about everything else. Every morning I wake up and I'm just able to open my eyes, see, breathe. I'm not sick. I'm healthy. I can stand up, got 2 legs to walk on sometimes. So, that's actually just the great part about life, because there's so many people that don't even have that,
It's a big difference from lying in the back of a police car with your head on a gun, knowing if you're going to get shot or not. And it's just sometimes that simple thing, am I breathing? Wow.
Have you heard Alex Hormozzi's, how he pictures himself?
No.
He imagines waking up as an 80-year-old and how sore and everything his body's going to be. And then he looks at himself and he wakes up today. He's like, okay, I'm an 80-year-old. And he wakes up today and he's like, wow, look how fit I am. That's how he starts every day. He's like, man, I'm so strong. Man, I can reach my toes.
Yeah.
He's like, and that's how kind of,
you have the opportunity to get up.
Every single day, today I'm the fittest and the youngest I'm ever going to be.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the fittest,
not
but
the
I'm
fittest.
definitely,
I was just about to say
definitely I'm the youngest I'm ever going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like, I better enjoy today for what it is.
Definitely.
I've got this new thing where I want to be the fittest I've ever been when I'm 60. Ever.
Yeah.
Like in the Roman 300s. So he was leading them into war at the age of 60. Now, he was an absolute specimen of a male against over 1 million.
Didn't have processed sugars and
No.
bottles of red wine and stuff like that.
he would have had the red wine,
That's what made him so
but he
strong.
didn't have the beer.
It's a zero. It's a zero. Yes.
It doesn't matter. It's not the alcohol. It's the what goes in it.
I know.
So that's why I've gone to the red wine.
Yeah.
But it's like I've got this thing where I'm like, you know what, the choices I make, I'm going to be moving towards. Like, it doesn't, like, obviously it's got to be 8%, 20. Like, you just got to have balance, but little steps that you make towards is towards where you want to be.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And, you know, just once again, for someone that's lived in South Africa and the state that is now, and coming to New Zealand, like, I still remember the first night I couldn't sleep because there was no burglar bars on the windows. Yeah. My brother didn't lock his house doors and he didn't even know where his house keys was. And I was like, what? I'm not sleeping. I couldn't sleep. Yeah. And then you just suddenly realize, like, the first day I saw my boy, at that point he was 2 years old. So, you know, just didn't really know much or anything, just learning new things every day like they still do. But the first time I saw him play in the park, I actually got tears in my eyes because you can't do that back home. You'll either get killed or the kid will get kidnapped or something bad will happen. And, well, not 100% of the times, but say 95%.
But when you but when you
odds.
think about it, that sort of like adrenal kind of firing all the time is not healthy for anybody.
Yeah, but
the constant panic state.
It's just also that, you know, just realizing actually this is what I remember growing up, being on the farm, being able to do whatever you could, because I was born 1990, so at that point it wasn't too bad yet. Yeah. So, you know, and I wanted that life for my kids. Not about what you can offer them materialistically. It's
freedom.
What opportunities you can give them, and there's no bigger reward than freedom.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Ability to be themselves.
Yeah.
To walk down the street and not worry. All right, well, our battery's going to go flat shortly, so do you want to ask the big question?
Right, well, perfect segue. So, is there any advice you'd give your younger self and why?
Yep. So, I would say stop worrying about what people would think of you. Yeah. Because that was a thing when I was younger. Like, you know, is my hair right? Now I don't even have hair. You know, do I look fit enough, or am I overweight, or am I this, or am I that? Doesn't matter. Cares? Should you do this, or should I do that? Am I going to fail? Don't care about people, because people are always going to talk. You know, like if you go and buy a new car today and it's red, they're going to ask you, why didn't you buy a blue car? You go buy a house, oh, why didn't you buy a apartment? Buy a boat, why didn't you buy a jet ski, or why didn't you buy a yacht? You know, people are always going to have their opinions around things. Yeah. Actually, if you want to buy a little canoe, and if you just want a tent to live in, if you're content with that, do it.
You know what the question should be asked, and people should be asking people? Are you happy?
Yes.
It's really simple.
That's where I'm getting. Yeah. You know, like,
are you happy? Yes. Okay, cool.
You just need to be happy.
Like, are you really happy? Yep, I am. Perfect. That's it. It doesn't matter what you drive, what you do, what's like. I've seen people picking up rubbish and they're happy and enjoying themselves.
Yeah, they're doing their part for the world that they care about. Yep.
You know, and that's where the joy is. They're like, I've achieved everything I've wanted to achieve, done.
And I truly believe that happiness comes from purpose.
Yeah.
And purpose doesn't mean that you have to be happy all the way throughout the day. Like, most people that are probably truly happy are uncomfortable a lot of the time because they're growing, they're pushing themselves, they're having those hard conversations. Yeah. But they're happy because they're growing. Yeah. It's very like, fuck. Today I was bored, so bored. I was like, because I wasn't achieving as much as I'd like to be, because I'm in this, 2 days to go until the next thing starts. But it did my head in. But when I was busy last week, happy as, like, throw lots of stuff at me. Like, you need that reason to get out of bed. And I saw that in our son when he was at school. He was unhappy. And now he's just working at the service station, but he's happy because he's got that purpose. He's got something to get up to. Yeah. He's got a schedule to work towards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was actually hoping you guys were going to ask me where do I see myself in the next 5 or 10 years. But
Standing next to the
someone
Rock and an
asked-
Under Armour poster.
It's already under the Forbes list, you know.
Yeah. And he's sponsored by Under Armour, so he's going to be standing there next to the Rock.
yeah, definitely.
The Rock and Pebble.
Well, on my yacht with
Okay,
the Rock, and you
insane.
guys next to me in Monaco watching.
Is that with Formula One?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like, honestly, that's goals, and that's what I'm going to be working towards, and I will achieve it.
No,
Yeah, we need to tick off all the Formula Ones around the world.
I actually believe it. You know, like I think your mind will take you to which pathways you allow open.
Yep,
You know?
definitely.
You know, it might be at a different timeline than what you actually think because it might be challenging with how things are going, but it will happen.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we'll see you in Monaco.
Yeah, good.
So I look forward to my first class ticket. Don't worry,
We'll be sailing.
Yeah, sailing. No, I'll fly my jet.
We'll meet you over there.
I'll jump on my paper plane. All right, George. Well, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. Do you want to share any socials or anything? Do you want this? You don't have any business ones or anything, do you?
No, not at this point in time, but on the next podcast, I get invited to.
If you're a driver, and are you looking for drivers, or are you pretty comfortable with levels at the moment?
I'm comfortable with who
Yeah.
I have, and
Okay.
they real good.
Well, if your drivers strive to be better, and then one day George will be happy to have you.
Definitely.
No.
Teamwork makes the dream work, eh?
How good, yeah. All right, mate. We'll really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for sharing those stories. If you've dived deep into your past, and it might have been a bit hard to relive those moments, but we're, us comfortable Kiwis sitting over here in our safe offices with doors unlocked need to sometimes realise that, fuck, we do actually have it pretty good in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.